What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you not to be out here doing a Mogadishu minstrel show for Donald Trump, but you did it anyway, and now he's out here telling everyone that your home country stinks. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, this video was not planned for this week, but based on current events, I had to talk about it, and it's a very important subject. And that is the subject of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, going out of his way to personally attack an entire community. And the community that he is attacking this time is the Somalian community, especially the community up in Minnesota. Because for a lot of you, if you don't know, the Minnesota area has a lot and a very large Somalian community. I always found that very interesting considering that Minnesota gets very cold and people from Somalia come from a much warmer climate, but that's just where they have decided to congregate. But you know, the other day the president literally woke up from a power nap because he was at a cabinet meeting where he was falling asleep when other people were talking. But this fool literally woke up from a power nap. I don't know what he was dreaming about. Maybe he was dreaming about the good old days when him and Jeffrey were on the island with the young girls, or maybe he was having a nightmare about the Captain Phillips movie or something, or Black Hawk Down. I don't know. But something triggered him in his dream about Somalia, because when he woke up, he got up and started talking all types of trash about the Somalian people, basically calling them trash and saying that they were scammers and he doesn't want them in his country and that we should kick them out of America. Right? He went all the way in, like with no Vaseline whatsoever. He went in. And I've been sitting here for the last 24 hours actually watching the responses from a lot of Somalian citizens, both the ones that work in the government, some of the ones that are just, your average citizens and business owners in the Minneapolis area, and also from these Somalians who actually went out there and were campaigning for Donald Trump. Because that's another thing. The Somalian people in that area, they organized to coalesce and give their vote to Donald Trump during the last election. Yeah, that's right. They specifically went out there and campaigned for him. They showed up at his rallies being used as props by the media, the right-wing media. They made sure that they gave press conferences and speeches, and they, like I said, they went door to door and organized their people there as a voting bloc to go out there and vote for Donald Trump. And now this old devil is literally waking up from his pawpaw nap, waking up from his grandpa nap to just go all the way in with no Vaseline on their entire community. I'm talking about this is beyond irony. This is beyond karma. This is crazy. The fact that you uplifted this devil, you put him up on a pedestal and put him out there as your savior, because that's how they were talking about Donald Trump. Like he was going to save the country, he was going to save their community, right? And things were going to be all great once they helped to get him in there. And he basically just took a big steaming shit on all of them. So we're going to listen to some audio here, folks, because this is a crazy story. And the reason that you don't see people like myself or other, pro-black commentators, or, just black people in general not getting too twisted about this is because a lot of Somalis come to this country and are extremely disrespectful to black Americans. They're some of the main black Africans that come over from the diaspora who love to come here, and if they can't cosplay as, black people and mess up our voting blocks, what they'll do is they will come over here and basically join with white supremacy, talking trash and downgrading us and degrading us. They talk about black people in America worse than your average white bigot talks about black Americans. In fact, with this whole tirade that Donald Trump gave to them, it's almost as if that the same animosity and the same rhetoric that they have been using, that Somalians have been using against black Americans, has been turned on them. You know what I mean? Like, and he basically said everything that Somalians say about black Americans, Trump said that about Somalians, and they can't handle it. They can't handle it whatsoever. It's really demoralized them. And I've seen a lot of them out there. They look like they're just very crestfallen, and their feelings are hurt by the fact that their Lord and Master, their Master Trump, has talked about them in this way. But once again, that's exactly how they've been talking about us. And now, even thinking about this, Trump is sending ICE out there to Minnesota to start scooping up these people because he's revoked a lot of their immigration status. So it's about to get hot in that area. I know we're moving into the winter time, but it's about to get hot in Minnesota, and it's going to be, some of these Somalians might start feeling like they're back in their home country. That's how hot it's about to get. Even though it's winter time and we got ice going out there, it's about to get hot for them. Okay, so let's listen to some audio here. And first, let me play this first because this is important. This part of it is important. This audio that I found right here is of the Somalians when they were coalescing and forming a delegation to vote for Donald Trump. This was before the election. So this is pre-election of Donald Trump, the second term. This is them getting together and deciding that they were going to support him and J.D. Vance. So I want you to hear this first so you can understand just how deep these people went. It's not just a little bit. It's not just twos and fews. They coalesced to vote for this devil. And I want you all to hear this. So let's listen to this little press conference. It's real short, but it gives you good context as to what we're dealing with here and the mentality that these people had. Now, I'm also going to play some audio for you of how they talk about black Americans, but let's listen to this one first before we get to that. This is them supporting their tangerine, Donald Trump.
Thank you, Salman, and good morning again. My name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders.
Nothing but big foreheads and pushed back hairlines in this press conference. Let's listen.
From the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump and J.D. Vance. Some of the key issues of the community are the global wars, and we're for peace.
Okay, yeah. You're for peace. Now, let's be honest about this. What's been going on in Somalia for all these years, and these people talking about they're for peace. Yeah, they're not really for peace. They're basically coming over here and saying we're going to put our support behind white supremacy. That's what they're doing. They're going to come up with all these reasons here as to why they support Trump, but it's really they want to be white so bad. Let's listen some more.
Economic issues, family values, and education are some of the critical issues that this community cares. On top of that, this community cares about the economic issues and the inflation.
You said that already.
With all these and a number of other issues, the community came together and fully is standing behind President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Now, see, you can tell that these people are bullshitting because they literally said the same thing over and over again. They barely speak English, and you can tell that this was probably written for them somewhere. They just say, "Yeah, we're voting for Trump for economic issues, and we're voting for Trump for economic issues, and we support Donald J. Trump." They literally said the same thing over and over again. That's how you know it's bullshit. Now let's play some audio about. Now this was before the election, and now I'm going to play you some audio of what Trump said about them this week. This week, he woke up from his nap and chose violence when it came to talking about the people of Somalia. So let's listen to that. Let me cue this up, and we're going to hear what Donald Trump had to say about these people here.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars.
He starts out by saying how the Somalians ripped off the state of Minneapolis for billions of dollars. And we're going to talk about that too in this video, but it wasn't billions. He's saying some shit that's not true. But once again, old racist Tangerine Paw just woke up from his nap, and he's confusing his numbers. But let's listen to what he has to say about the Somalians here.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Billions. Every year. Billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%.
Damn.
They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you.
Damn.
Somebody say, "Oh, that's not politically correct." I don't care. I don't want them in our country.
He said he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn if you don't like it or if it's not politically correct. He doesn't want them here. Now, you heard what they said about him, how they're voting for him for economic reasons and all this other nonsense that some white Republican told them to say. But Donald Trump is saying he doesn't want them here, and he doesn't care who doesn't like it. He said, if you're mad, stay mad. I'm going to say what I want to say. Listen some more.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. And we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying that we could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Woo! Damn! He called them garbage. If we keep taking in garbage to our country, it can go bad. That's messed up. That's crazy to say, considering all the meth-infested, opioid-taking mayonnaise mutants we have around here in the trailer parks. I've seen some crazy mayonnaise mutants that are tipping this country in the wrong way. But he thinks it's all because of the Somalians in this one little area is going to just destroy our country. But let's listen some more to what he has to say.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage.
Damn.
Her friends are garbage.
He's talking about a congresswoman like that. He called her garbage. This is a woman he's talking about now. The Muslim sister that's in Congress, the one that's always wearing the hair wraps and always votes with the Congressional Black Caucus. He's talking about her. He called her garbage personally. Not just talking about the country of Somalia, not just talking about the Somalian citizens in the U.S. He called their congressmen garbage. Listen some more.
These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing.
Damn.
They came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country.
This man's talking like this to the press. He's not saying this in private. He's not saying this behind closed doors where no one can hear him, or he thinks he's just talking to, just the people in his little sycophanted jerk circle that he has around him. He's saying this to the press. He's saying this out loud where everyone can hear him and see him. He doesn't give a damn.
Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
God damn. Trump went hard on that one. I'm not going to commend him. I really don't even really truly agree with him 100%. But at least he's being a racist up front. That's the only thing I can really commend him for. The fact that he's not holding back with his racism. He's being 100% upfront and out there with the way he's talking about these people. And the fact that so many Somalians came over here and got on their knees and kissed his orange ass and helped get him into office, and the way he's talking about them, that should tell you something. This should be a warning and a witness to all of these different communities out there, whether they be Latino, whether they be from the Caribbean, whether they be from the African continent. Trump doesn't like you. And the average white supremacist in the MAGA organization doesn't like you. The only time they will have you around is when they can use you as a prop to pretend that they're not racist. But once again, now that they were using these Negroes as props before the election, but now that they've actually won, now that they've actually gotten into power, they don't feel like they have to pretend anymore. I talked about this before with a lot of these buck dancing Negroes here in the States that got their wake-up call. The racists won, and now they're saying, like, well, why do we have to pretend? Why do we need these Negroes to run interference? We don't need these Negroes anymore. To hell with them. So that's why Trump can wake up from his little nasty daydream about, getting on the Epstein plane to just straight up talking cash shit about the Somali community. So now that we've heard what Trump actually said about these people, let's listen to some audio of the fallout from this situation, that's a good word for it, is fallout, because that's what we've seen. Trump dropped a bomb on these fools, and now they're all fleeing and falling apart from the fallout from that explosion of pure, unadulterated white supremacist racism being dropped on their heads. So first we're going to listen to this fool right here, and he's got on his little outfit, his little I'm a fake ass businessman outfit, and he was one of the people who was one of the main organizers for Donald Trump. Before the election, he was one of these Negroes who was, out there pushing for Donald Trump to win and campaigning for him. So let's hear what he has to say about what his master had to put on him and his country.
What would you say to the president if he were standing here right now?
Mr. President, we campaign for you. We have hope in you. We see hope in you. Please differentiate between good, bad, and evil.
You might not have been able to understand what he was saying through his big old teeth, but what he's saying is, please, Mr. President, we need you to distinguish between good, bad, and evil. Basically saying, hey, listen, we're the good ones. We're the good Negroes out here. We need you to not judge us all by the quote-unquote bad Somalians. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And I'm going to play you a video about that, about the, some of the crimes that the Somalians have been committing in that area and why they have such a negative stigma. But, this fool right here is basically trying to say, like, listen, we're the good ones. Don't cast us off, massa. We're the good Negroes. We're happy to work for you. We're happy to wipe your behind for you and kiss on the orange cheeks. Let's listen to some more of this.
Somali immigrant who voted for President Trump in 2024, but now Trump is demonizing Somalis in America, specifically here in Minnesota.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
I got 5 children. My children are no garbage. I campaigned for the president in 2024. I actually went out and we reached 50 million people endorsing Trump 7 days before the election.
What drew you to the president?
Yeah, so this clown actually went out there and got his entire community to vote for Donald Trump. And you see where it's gotten you, you dumbass. You big dumb Negro, you big dummy. I'm trying to figure out where he found a hat that could cover that forehead of his. But let's listen to some more. Let's listen to the BS as to why he voted for Trump. It's the same playbook and the same thing that that other clown said at the press conference as to why they voted for Donald Trump. Let's listen here.
We believed he was an agent of chaos. We couldn't afford anything back then. There was a fentanyl crisis. There was an issue of affordability. The living standards went down. Crime issues. These are five very important things to us.
Yep, yeah, but if it's so where's the crime coming from though? Like you were that concerned about crime? You were that concerned about crime? Was it your cousins doing the crime or what? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like you had a problem with the crime, so why would you vote for Donald Trump when he can't distinguish between you and the quote unquote criminals? Why would you vote for him? Because to him, you're all criminals. And that's what black Americans have been trying to tell you fools for the longest, is that these white supremacists don't distinguish. They see you all as criminals. They see us all as criminals. The same thing happened to the Latinos and the Mexicans. They said, well, Trump is just going to kick out the criminal elements. And he's sending ICE to your schools. He's arresting Latinos at the Home Depot. He doesn't give a damn where you're at. He's just rounding you all up and sending you back. You fools just don't get it. You fools just don't get it at all. You thought you could come here and be white adjacent. You could be white cosplayers and they weren't going to get your ass too. But now they're getting your ass and getting you up out of here. Let's listen to some more of him begging his master the orange tangerine.
And we believe that Trump would be the solution to it. I've been a Republican for over 25 years. I'm not going to stop being a Republican.
Oh, so even after this ass whooping, you're not going to stop being a Republican. You goddamn slave, you. I know you might not have been part of the enslaved African community here, but you sure as hell got the mentality. You sure as hell got the brain for it. You still sitting here acting like Stephen from Django Unchained. Please, massa, I'm upset, but don't cast me aside, massa. Come on, Trump, take us back.
I'm not going to stop being a Republican. But what I do know is for a fact is we're getting killed out here because people are saying, we told you so.
Yeah, and they should tell you that. Every time a black person sees your dumb ass, they should tell you, we told you so, Negro. We told you so. And not just for your vote for Trump, but for all of your white supremacist ass kissing. So let's listen to this news report here that I found where they're talking about the crimes of the Somalians in that area. And there's some interesting things about this that I want to discuss as we go through it. Let's listen to this here where they're talking about the fraud scandal that was going on in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, and these Somalians who were basically frauding the government for millions of dollars. Let's listen.
We turn now to President Trump's latest attacks on Somali immigrants in Minnesota. About 84,000 people of Somali descent live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. The president says he doesn't want any Somalis living in the U.S. after a few dozen were implicated in a COVID relief fraud case. We get more on this from Jonah Kaplan of CBS Minnesota.
Minnesota is reeling from a fraud scandal involving $1 billion siphoned from multiple federal programs during the COVID pandemic.
Okay, I guess Trump wasn't bullshit when he said billions of dollars. I guess I apologize. He was right. He was right when he said it was billions. I thought it was in the millions. I didn't think it was in the billions. But damn, they was getting the government for that much money. These Somalians came over here to hustle, boy. Now, when they talk about black Americans, they say we always want a handout. They say that, we're lazy and we don't work as hard as they do. But here it is. These people came over here and they hustled their way and, got public assistance and welfare benefits. And they talk trash about us. I thought you guys came over here to work hard. I thought you did all the work and, you built businesses and all this other stuff. And that's how you were able to rise above us, measly old black people in the hood. But now we're finding out that you come over here and commit even more crime. And let's be honest, the Democratic Party allowed you to do that. The Democratic Party know that this stuff is going on. The government knew this shit was going on, but they allowed it to happen because they wanted to use you as a buffer class against black Americans. And you were all too happy to do that. And you point your finger at us and, will degrade us and make us seem like we're the messed up community, like we're the criminal community. And you literally come over here and commit mass fraud in the government. Let's listen some more.
Last 3 years, 87 people have been charged, 61 convicted, most of Somali descent. Erica MacDonald was U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota during the first Trump administration. What happened in Minnesota where fraud was able to run rampant that it didn't in other states?
Lack of accountability, frankly. We knew that fraud occurs, and there's warning signs that come with it, and they were ignored in this case.
According to investigators, the schemes involved bogus receipts and invoices for meal programs, housing assistance, and behavioral health services.
So they can barely speak the language, but they sure as hell know how to fill out that paperwork. They know how to fill out that paperwork and scam the government out of some money and some funds, huh? And I bet you $1 million that a lot of those funds funnel right into their legit businesses that are there now. See, other communities are allowed to come here and use crime to finance their legitimate business and move up ahead. Black Americans have never been allowed to do that. At no point has a Black American ever been allowed to funnel their criminal enterprise and use that as a leg up in the legitimate world. The Jews have been able to do that. The Italians have been able to do that. The Irish have been able to do that. Remember, go watch that movie Gangs of New York if you want evidence of that. The Latinos have been allowed to do that. Go look at any movie about cocaine to figure that part out. Asians have been allowed to do that. Think about all of the bathhouses and massage parlors and the transporting of drugs and everything else into this country from Asian nations, right? And they're able to funnel that money into their legitimate businesses. And now you got these Black Africans who are doing the same thing, right? So they come here, once again, they come here and talk about Black Americans and talk trash about us and talk about how bad we are. But you also come here and commit crimes. And not only are you committing crimes, but you're allowed to take that money and funnel it into your legitimate businesses and help your community grow. And then you have the nerve to coalesce and work for a party and for a politician that basically hates your guts, but you'll help them get into office thinking you're going to get some butter biscuits out of it. Or, I don't know, some Mogadishu biscuits or whatever, right? Let's listen some more.
Charging the state millions for services that were never provided.
I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars.
The president lashed out at Minnesota's Somali community during Tuesday's cabinet meeting at the White House, saying he doesn't want them in the country and called them garbage.
I think it's a beautiful country.
Jamal Osman, who moved from Somalia to Minnesota when he was 14, is a naturalized U.S. citizen and a member of the Minneapolis City Council.
So here's one of these fools that got into politics, and he's feeling real bad right now that Trump has decided to take a big steaming dump on his head and the head of his people. But let's listen to, there's a very important part here that I'm going to talk about that he's going to say, and then we'll probably close out with this video. But let's listen to what he has to say about what Trump shit on him about.
Who looks like me are scared right now.
The fear comes as the Somali community here is bracing for a surge of ICE agents cracking down on migrants who've been issued final deportation orders. The president is pointing to the fraud cases in Minnesota, and we know that a majority of the suspects are of Somali descent. How is your community taking that?
Well, my community is upset. Yes, people commit crimes, but the entire community should not be blamed based on what some individuals did.
Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. That's the important part I want you guys to hear. What's his response to judging an entire community based on the actions of a few? Let's listen to that again.
Well, my community is upset. Yes, people commit crimes, but the entire community should not be blamed based on what some individuals did.
They can't, huh? So what was the difference between what Trump is doing to you? What's the difference between that and what you Somalians have been doing to us? You see what I'm saying? See, because you judge all Black Americans by the worst of our group, right? You'll find some ratchet ass rapper, or you'll find some Negro out there committing petty crimes or drug dealing or whatever, and you'll say all Black Americans are bad. You'll talk trash about all of them, and talk about fatherlessness in the homes, doing all the same nonsense that white bigots do. In fact, listen to this audio right here. Listen to this audio right here of this is in their church. This is in a Muslim mosque of Somalians, and this is how they're talking about Black Americans. Now, you would think they would have more issues to worry about, right? All the issues going on in their own country with the criminal enterprises there, and the fact that they have basically no government, is just one criminal enterprise after another, and being pirates and prostitution and rape gangs, and then they come over here and commit acts of fraud. You would think that would be the sermon for this pastor, but no, he's going to go out here and talk all types of trash about Black Americans. Let's listen here. Listen to this trash here.
Most of the people that we meet, especially African Americans, they don't even know their fathers.
Huh?
They don't even know their fathers. It was all of them, most of them were the product of one night stand.
Wow.
One night stand.
Wow.
They will tell you, I don't know my father. Well, who named you? Whose name are you carrying? Well, my mother chose his name for me. I don't know. Is that what we want for our ummah?
See how they divide themselves, saying like, yeah, we don't want to be like them. We don't want to be like those Black American Negroes, because they don't even know who their father is. They weren't named after their father. And that's BS. That's 100% BS. Yeah, there are some Negroes out here who, whose parents were never married or whatever, but there's a lot of us out here who had a father, who know who our fathers are. Not only do we know who our fathers are, we know who our grandfathers are, we know who our great-grandfathers are. There are those of us who can trace our family lineage all the way back and know the history of our people in this country. Okay? I know who my father is. I'm named after my father, right? There are plenty of Black people in this comment section who can say, I know who my father is, but these Somalians have this stereotype that they got from white supremacists. A white bigot told them this. They don't know this for sure, but they listen to white people because they think white is right. The white man has raped their country and treated them like absolute trash for centuries, but they'll come over here and suck them off and listen to what a white man has to say about Black people, and they'll use that as a way to tear us down. You see that? And this is the nonsense that we've had to deal with, and this is why there is contention between Black Americans and Somalians, and not just them. You got Black people from Ethiopia and the Sudan. Bitch ass Myron Gaines is from the Sudan, and this is why we have to deal with this nonsense from people from this area. You see what I'm saying? But now they're getting their wake-up call, and I'm glad to see it. The only people I can really say I feel sorry for is maybe their small children, because I don't think children should have to go through being teased or being attacked or getting caught up in these ICE raids, right? But if you want to blame somebody, you Somalian kids need to look at your parents and blame them. They're the ones that put you in this situation because they want to put their lips, right? They want to put their lips on the backside of this devil tangerine, and now it's kicking their ass. So you folks let me know how you feel about this in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on all of this. Anyway, Mad Black and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.